Our next topic is HBase, which is also a open source framework from the Apache group. And what is the work and how HBase is supported in the Hadoop, we will see right now. First we will see some introduction part of the HBase, then we will see that one. So here the very first question is that if we have the Hadoop, MapReduce, Pig, HBase, so many things, then why we need and why we go for the HBase? So there are certain limitations of the Hadoops. So what are the different limitations? We have a lot many limitations, but some of the important limitations of the Hadoop is, which you may be able to see it on the screen. So what is the first limitation? So first limitation is the Hadoop is that Hadoop can perform only batch processing and data will be accessed only in the sequential manner. So suppose if you have a lot many data and your input size is too large, then it will take too much time because it is going to process or access the data in the sequence, that is the step by step. So for a very big data, it will take large amount of time. So this is the one of the limitation of Hadoop. Next, second one, a huge data set when process result in another huge data set which should be processed sequentially. What does it means? At this point, a new solution is needed to access any point of data in a single unit of time. See, suppose if we are processing one data set, that is a huge data set we are processing at one machine. Again, we have to process the same data set on the other machine. So it will take less time, but we have to process the same data set on a same machine, the huge data one, then it will take a lot of time. So this is also one of the factor that is related to the limitation of the Hadoop. So here a single unit of time is required for the random access. Then we have something which will be helpful to overcome the limitations of this Hadoop. Means what are the different limitations of the Hadoop? There will be a number of the limitation of the Hadoop. So when you go through some books, you will get different limitations. So what is the solution for that limitations of the Hadoop? So here we have some applications, that is HBase, Cassandra, then MongoDB. So that are all of the some databases. Our HBase is also a database part. It is related to the HBase only. So we have some databases like HBase, Cassandra and MongoDB. So that are helpful to overcome this problem. Whatever the problem. Yeah. Hello. Hello, Arvind. Any question? Yeah. So see here, what are the different technology? So I thought some people might get some problem due to some audio. So now we will discuss some technology or some applications which will be helpful for overcoming the problem or the limitations of the Hadoop. So we have certain technology that is known as the HBase, MongoDB and some other database. So that is helpful for the limitations, to overcoming the limitations of the Hadoop. So if you want, we can go for the different technology, but for right now we have one technology or the application that is known as the HBase. Then we will see some introduction type of the NoSQL command database. So what is the different? What is the use and the importance of the NoSQL database? So can anybody tell me anything about the NoSQL? No. So the NoSQL something is related to the, it's stand for NoSQL means no database, but it will act as a database. You can use any type of the database query to proceed over here. So this NoSQL database always takes the input as the key value pairs and it will process that one. So on this diagram you may be able to see that query navigation complexity, performance along with the speed and the scalability. So there are certain different points which is marked for this NoSQL. Once we will go to the NoSQL database session, then only it will be clear. But right now just we have to make understand that this NoSQL is working as a key value pair for processing the data sets. We will see the NoSQL database, then we can get the more information about this one. Then we have the topic, what is the HBase? What is HBase? Any answers from your side? This HBase is an open source project from the Apache group. Okay, why this is needed? This is needed to overcome the limitations of the Hadoop. And what are the limitation of the Hadoop? So the limitation is that in the case of the Hadoop, our data sets will be accessed or the process in the sequential manner. So it will take a lot of time to process the data. To overcome that problem, we have the solution that is known as the one of the solution that is known as the HBase. So what is this HBase? HBase is something, as we can say, in the case of the SQL, that is the MySQL or the Oracle, the data are stored in the form of the rows and columns, okay, in a table. But in the case of, what is the difference between the HBase and the other MySQL databases? So here, in the case of HBase, what is the data we are going to insert? It will be simply stored in only in the form of the column, not in the form of the row. So this is also known as column database. How we can write our same query, whatever the query we have written in the case of the MySQL, and that is in the form of the rows and columns, the same column we can write in the form of columns only in the case of the HBase. So that we will see now. Anybody having any questions? So now we will see some definitions. So HBase is simply a distributed column oriented database, but our relational database is the column and the row both oriented database. Now it is built on the top of the Hadoop file systems. What does it mean? It simply means that for running the HBase we need Hadoop should be installed in our system. Then we have also one more important point, that is it is a open source project. This is designed basically for the huge amount of structured data. Okay. In the case of the Hadoop, we are seeing that the most of our database is the unstructured, and for processing the structured one, we have the Hive also, and we have now the HBase, which is totally the column oriented. This is the only difference between the relational table or the relational database and the HBase. Second one, it is a part of the Hadoop ecosystem that provides random real-time read-write access to the data. While in the case of the other relational database, the random access of read-write facility is not available. Okay, but in case of HBase, that facility is available. Now, how that data will be stored in the case of the HBase? So the data will be stored in the HBase in the form of the columns only. There is no concept of the row. We have some definition for this HBase. What is the definition for this HBase? So HBase is a simple database for the Hadoop system, Hadoop ecosystems, which stores the data in a key and value pair in the column form only. There is no row. It's stored data only in the form of the columns. So here there are certain properties of this HBase, that is marked in some different color points on the screen. You may be able to see this one. So what is the first one? Sparse. What is the literal meaning of this sparse? So data will be scattered, something like that. Then we have the sorted map. So who is the person related to the Java can tell me the sorted map? Mr. Arvind. Arvind? Are you able to get the question? In case of the sorting map, the by default sorting order is the ascending one. means your key and value pair will be stored in some ascending order sorting form. That is the sorted map. Okay. So we have some other features also, that is the distributed. What is the literal meaning of the distributed? You know that one. Then we have the consistence, means data should be consistent. It should not be changed from one. If we are saving somewhere and if we are saving this same data to the another location, then it should not be changed. It should be consistent. Then the next one feature we have that multi-dimension. But we have seen that the data should be stored only in the form of the columns. So how we are going to store the data in the form of the columns? We'll see now. See here. What is the storage mechanism in the HBase? So the single storage mechanism in the case of the HBase is that it is the column oriented. It is not the column and the row oriented. It is single dimension, that is the only the column oriented. And in this case, that we have the points, that is the HBase is the column oriented database and the tables in it are sorted by row. Why? Because it has the property of the sorted map. So the whatever the data we are going to save here, it will be in some sorted order and the data will be sorted according to the rows. Then the next feature we have the table schema defines only column family. What is this column family? So that column family will be our upcoming topics in this one only. This column family, whatever the data we are going to store, it will store the data in the form of the key and value pair. Suppose if you have one table in HBase that is known as the person, then you have to store the person name. So the name is the key and whatever the value you are going to store, that will be your value. So that key and value pair will be stored in a single column. In the case of HBase, how it will be stored, we can see now. So till now we have seen the something about the HBase, that is it is a open source project from the Apache only and it stores the data mostly related to the structured only and in the single dimension, that is the column oriented. It is the only the column oriented, and one of its feature is that it stores the data in the form of key and value pair which is sorted by row. Means in the case of this HBase, whatever the data, whatever the row we have, that will be automatically sorted in the and then stored in the columns. So how that is possible? So before going to that, we have one topic that is known as the column family. So that is the column family, the important part of this HBase. So that we can see here. See here the third last line, row is a collection of column family. Means how many row in a table? If you have the 10 rows in the normal SQL or the Oracle database, that row will be your known as your column family. How to define that one? So here, see here, row is a collection of column family and column family is a collection of the columns and column is a collection of the key value pair. So row, column are just related with each other and final output is that it is the key value pair. How that is related? What is, if in the case of RDBMS, if we have one table, that is the employee table having first column as the ID, second as the name and third one as the salary. So this is our typical relational database where the data are stored in the form of the rows and columns. Now we will see how this same data we can store in the case of HBase. Means how, from this data how we can make the column family. So for this purpose we have one example which you may be able to see it on the screen right now only. So this example will tell you how to store your relational database in the form of the HBase. So here, see here, what is this table? So suppose this table name is as employee and for the first column is the ID, second is the name and third one is the salary, where the two rows are there. See here, two rows are there. So if there are n number of the row, then total column family in the will be simply double of that one. How? So it will depend upon the condition. There are certain conditions here. The first employee ID, that is a 101. This 101 data having name Vikram, salary something like 4 lakhs. Suppose this is a condition. This is in the form of the row and column. Now I have to store this in the form of only columns. There should be no row. How to store this one? In the case of HBase, see here. My ID, that is the 101. 101 is the ID. Now I have to generate one column family. How to generate that column family? So it will take the simply name. Okay. Whatever the column name you have, it is the first column name you have, that is the name. Then second one you have the salary. So see here, for ID 101, that is the 101, we have to define one column family. This CF stands for the column family. And what is the name of this column family? The name of this column family is the name. This will be the column name. Then second column family you have with the salary. So second we have the salary here. That is the column family. Suppose if you have the some more columns like here address, joining date, hike, something like age, blood group. So all that together will be written here one after one. So here we have only the name and salary. So I have taken the name and salary. Now this is the time stamp which is showing the time, at what time it has been added, something like that. So next one is the value. Here the column family name is the name, and what is the value name? So simply you have to define the value, and the what is the value you have to give here in the single quote. If you are using the string, if you are using any integer and floating, then it should be without quote. Okay. Then second one, column family name is salary, timestamps. There should be certain timestamp depending upon the your timing. Then value is 4 lakhs. Next one, for next row, second row we have to define the these two. Why these two? Because we have only 2 columns, so there should be 2 column family only. So first one is the name, this one, and what is the name? You have to give here the value. Then what is the salary? You have to give the value here. Here we have some comparison. So first comparison, we have seen that HDFS does not support individual record lookups. Means if we are looking our data in from the database regularly, then HDFS is not supported. Okay, but if we are making use of the HBase, it will be supported. Then third point, but it provides the high latency. Then in the case of HBase, it provides low latency. What is latency? You know that one. Then HDFS, it provides only sequential access of data, and in the case of HBase, it internally uses the hash table. One of the another important question from the core Java portion, that is the hash tables. And this HDFS is used for sequential one, while this HBase is used for the random access. Now we have to see something, the differences between the or the comparison between the HBase and RDBMS, means how both are different and how both are similar. See here, in the case of RDBMS, whatever we are going to do, whether we are going to read the data or means whenever we are going to write the data, before writing the data in the RDBMS, one schema will be created. What is this schema? This schema is simply the structure in which format our data will be stored in the RDBMS. That is known as the schema. So in the case of RDBMS, a schema will be created, but in the case of HBase, there is no schema. It is a schema-less. There is only single column. So there is no require for the schema. Second one, it is built for wide tables, because it is horizontal only, means it's a form of only single column. But this is the RDBMS. That RDBMS is built for the small tables. I think there is no need to explanation of this one, but still we are discussing these topics. HBase, there are no transaction in the case of HBase, but in the case of RDBMS we have the transactions. In the case of HBase we have the denormalization data, but what is the normalization in the DBMS? Is there any normalization topic you remember? See, whatever the comparison between this HBase and RDBMS, you can go through this one. Okay, I'll send the complete PPT today only. You just go through it. If you have any doubt, we can discuss in the next class, because all are very clear. Now, after that, we have to see what are the different features of the HBase. So from the beginning of this HBase topic, we have seen one point, that the HBase is linear, that is the in a single line, that may be a column. Second, it has automatic failure support. Why? Because if it is in the form of single column, if anything happens, the total in the middle or in the starting, the connection to the remaining data will be lost. So it is a single point of the failure. Second one, it provides consistent read and writes. So this is one of the feature, that it provides consistent read and write. Next one, it integrates with Hadoop, both at the source and the destination. If in the case of Hadoop, if we are using the HBase for the source of any file required for the Hadoop system, we can use the HBase, right? And if we want to store the output of the Hadoop file system, then also we can use the HBase. Next one, it has easy Java API, means it has easily support with the Java programmings. It provides data replication across clusters. It is also one of the important features in the case of the Hadoop, that it provides the data replications. Then we have the topic that where to use the HBase and where not to use the HBase. So first we will see where to use the HBase. Suppose we have the scenario that we have the very large data set and we have to read the data in the form of randomly SS, not the sequentially. Then for that time we can go for the HBase, because this random features has been in the HBase. So if you want to read or write anything from the Hadoop file system, then we can go for the HBase, because it support for the random access. Second one, it hosts very large tables on the top of the cluster of commodity. What is cluster of commodity? It is a simple cheap hardware, and the HBase is supported for the large tables on the cheap hardware also. So this is also one of the situation where we are going to use the HBase. Apache HBase, we are seeing that the Apache HBase is the something that is related to storing and accessing the database, but it is not the relational database. So the last point you may be able to see here, Apache HBase is a non-relational database model. Okay, it is not the RDBMS, but it works similar to the RDBMS. Here Bigtables acts as the Google file system. That is the boring part. You can read it. If you have a still query, we can see. Again, one not important topic in the case of HBase, that is the history part. When this HBase came into picture, when first version is released. So see here, in the starting one, when the Hadoop was going to be implemented, the 26 November, the Google release the paper on Bigtable. This Bigtable concept was taken into the Hadoop, that is known as the HBase. and 2007 the initial HBase prototype was released. Till now we have the HBase versions, suitable versions like 0.14, 0.20. Okay. So today you people all have to download the HBase. When you type in the Google download HBase 0.140 versions, you will get one tar file, and similar to that how you have configured in the bash shell, you have to do the configuration.